Right, now we can speak to Sama Shehata, who is Associate Professor of Middle Eastern Politics at the University of Oklahoma. He's joining us by Skype from the city of Norman. Thanks for talking to us, Sama. The credibility of this election is being widely questioned, isn't it? How come only one challenger has emerged from this enormous Arab country?
Well, I think the regime poorly handled the election engineering of this election. It's not really an election, as you say. I think in an ideal world, there would have been more candidates, but candidates that were not threatening to President Sisi. Some of those who emerged were indeed threatening, such as former generals Sami Anan and Ahmed Shafiq, who had run in the 2012 election. And so they were eliminated in different ways, either intimidated to withdraw or arrested in some cases. And so then they were left with no one. And so this individual, Mustafa Musa, who no one really had heard of, a leader of the Red Party, who we believe to be in cahoots with the security forces and so on, was put up so that it could be an election with two candidates, or at least look like an election. So that's how we got here. And I think it does really reflect the regime's anxiety about political contestation. They don't want any political contestation, but nevertheless, they want to go through the motions of an election.
And in an election, let's call it an election for argument's sake, but in a situation like this, as we've already seen in Russia, what is absolutely vital in terms of establishing some form of legitimacy is turnout.
Well, that's correct. And even the Russian election, if we can call it that, had many different candidates, even though it was an unfair playing field. In this case, we don't have that. And so, yes, in the 2014 election, the official results reported a 47% election turnout. But of course, the rational thing to do, as your piece mentioned, if one is an Egyptian voter, when the conclusion is known ahead of time, is to not participate. And so we'll all be looking at both the official and the unofficial results. I'm highly skeptical that anything approaching the previous result, 47%, will be achieved in the next 3 days.
Meanwhile, what has happened more generally to the political space? We've heard about the closing down of the media and the restrictions to various online presences and whatever. What about the Muslim Brotherhood? What's happened to the party of Mr. Morsi?
Yes, it's been shattered, really, by the regime. I mean, as you know, there are tens of thousands of Muslim Brotherhood members and supporters, as well as others, many of the youth who participated in the revolution in 2011, who have nothing to do with the Brotherhood, are now in jail. Many of them have been tried. Some have been given death sentences and so on. Others are in exile. Of course, there's tremendous political repression and a lack of political freedom. So that's really the state, unfortunately, of politics in Egypt. In addition to, as your piece mentioned, the closing of space and freedom in the media, certainly the cracking down on civil society organizations. So it's not really a place where there is a vibrant political debate taking place or democracy emerging. Quite the opposite, unfortunately.
Sama Shehata, thank you very much indeed for talking to us live from Norman, Oklahoma.
You're welcome.